after a year, he started to say, your daughter's not going to get into any of the colleges that she wants to. And I believed him. And so when he slowly started to present the criminal scheme, it seemed like, and I know this seems crazy at the time, that that was my only option to give my daughter a future.
That was Emmy Award-winning actress Felicity Huffman breaking her silence about her participation in the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal. She's describing her interactions with Rick Singer, the educational consultant she hired to help her daughter get into college. Huffman was just one of dozens of wealthy and influential parents who faced federal charges in the sprawling bribery scheme that made headlines in 2019. The actress pled guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud, serving 11 days in prison, paying a $30,000 fine, and participating in court-mandated community service. Let's bring back our panel, Mike, LZ, and joining us is ABC News contributor and senior entertainment writer at ESPN's Anscape, Kelly L. Carter, and ABC News senior national policy reporter, Ann Flaherty. And I'll start with you. You cover education. What does this Varsity Blues story tell us about the college admissions process? And as Felicity Huffman points out, the advantage that wealthy Americans might have when applying.
Well, it certainly seems like they have an advantage. And when we've interviewed people behind the scenes, what they tell us, Elizabeth, is basically, you know, look, colleges are a business and money talks. So I remember we've interviewed one former college admissions counselor who said when a college is faced with these choices of accepting a child whose family can pay full sticker price compared to a child whose family might need financial aid, you know, there's limited amounts of financial aid. Almost always they're going to favor those kids who can pay full sticker price. Now, we do hear about these stories of kids that get, you know, financial aid, big packages, full rides. But for each one of those cases, we're actually seeing a lot of kids who aren't getting anything or having to take out the student loan debt. And what we're being told is that donors don't necessarily want to fund these programs. What they want to fund are football stadiums. They want their name on a library, for example. So these are really, really tough choices that these colleges have to make. And at the end of the day, we do know that oftentimes the money is what works.
The money talks, as you say. Kelly, Felicity Huffman said she had to break the law to give her daughter that future. Is she really accepting accountability here by coming out and speaking out, or is she sort of deflecting blame?
It feels a little bit like deflection still, right? Because I think like a lot of people back in 2019 when this story first came about, I was confused. I still am. I think that if you're a wealthy parent, why not spend that $15,000 to get your kid the tutoring? You know, we already think that, you know, these children have a leg up over other students because, yes, you know, they can fully fund their college educations, but they also have access to resources that other students just don't have access to. And to cheat the system in this way was egregious back then, and it still is egregious right now. And I think to not fully accept responsibility today for that feels like a little bit of a miss on her part.
Oh, well, and LZ, weigh in on that. Has anything really changed since Varsity Blues, since these headlines first came out?
Well, money still talks, particularly on a college campus. And you look at the trend of college presidents being more business savvy than actually being representative of academia. I don't see that trend necessarily changing. But I tell you what's really disappointing for me as a parent myself is not that she cheated the system as much as she cheated her own daughter in having the capacity to understand how to manage disappointment. You know, as a dad, my son got accepted to every school he applied for except for the one he really wanted to go to. I understand what she's talking about. It's painful to see your child deal with disappointment. But you know what? He came out on the other side tougher, smarter, and more resilient. Those lessons you can't teach. They can only live through. And unfortunately, Felicity robbed her daughter of that opportunity.
Such a great point. The lessons that you learn from rejection as well as that you learn from getting in and then going on to whatever school. Mike, you weigh in on that. And are there steps that the institutions need to be taking here so that they aren't so influenced by those in power?
I love you, Elizabeth. I was hoping you would ask me something to that effect because, yes, What we're seeing right now is what's happening with the frustration with a lot of parents across the socioeconomic spectrum, which is the reason why I don't give in to the dynamic of money talks, is that college universities now are focusing on what is called the yield rate. That is preventing so many individuals from actually getting into the college and university that they choose. So what parents need to do now, no matter what economic background you have, is to show intent. College universities want to show that if I accept you and give you an offer letter, you will show up to this university and you won't reject us. But what the yield rate is, they want to make sure they have a high enough yield rate so that that becomes a factor in the college ranking system. And the higher a college is ranked is the more donors are they able to get donations from. And what impacts the yield rate if more students don't accept. So if they believe you have a choice between, let's say, Harvard, University of Michigan, they look at your background, they'll say, might be more interested in Michigan, so we're going to reject you from Harvard. Not because you're not qualified, but because we don't want you to reject us. That is something we need to address systematically with admissions in colleges and universities.
That'd be a big change. I mean, most people apply to what, like 10, 15 schools sometimes just to try to get the odds up. That would be a change in the process for applicants too.
Exactly, which is the common application that the students are applying for, which has driven up the amount of applications to college universities, which makes the decision tougher for colleges and the yield rate such a key factor here.
Wow, Mike, LZ, Kelly Nan, thanks so much for the conversation.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.